Hello. Welcome to today's episode of the Best Today podcast. Y'all, I'm excited to talk to you about this today because every time I teach or talk about this topic, someone comes back and tells me that it has set them free. So my intention, my hope is that this will do the same for you. It will give you information and also help you to rethink, unlearn at the same time about this word productivity. So today I'm talking to you about productivity, a really highly popular word in our culture, and one that I'm actually working on removing from my regular vocabulary as much as possible. Clearly, I'm talking about it because I teach about it, but I really do want to remove myself from this word, and you'll understand why as I go through this episode. So today I'm talking about the unhealthy side effects of productivity culture, and I encourage you to listen to all of the episode. If you only listen to a portion or half of this episode, you won't get the full message. So I'd rather you listen to none than half because half is just as ineffective as none. But let's get started and talk about productivity. And of course, we're going to start with definitions because that's what I always like to start with to make sure we are all on the same page. So I just went and researched or Googled or looked up what is productivity? What's the definition? And here's one of the definitions that I got. Productivity is the efficiency of production of goods or services expressed by some measure, right? Measurements of productivity are often expressed as a ratio of an aggregate output to a single input or an aggregate input used in a production process. So output per unit of input, something like that. Or this is how much you can get over a specific amount of time. Like that's productivity. Another definition is the state or quality of production of something, an economic term of rate of output per unit. So those are some of your basic definitions of what productivity is. And just as I say these words, does that sound like something of value to your being? To make it a priority or an aspiration or a goal on a day-to-day basis? Like as you just listen to those definitions, what did that say to you? Because that's what productivity is. Someone can try to put a spin on it, but that's what it is. Like it is what it is. You can't change the definition of a word. Okay. But let me not get ahead of the conversation. Here's the thing. The root word of productive or productivity is produce, which is something that you create, what you yield, what you bring into existence, right? So yes, if you are a machine, productivity, what you produce is a really important measurement. It's really important value. A measurement of, do you do the thing you were created to do? It's going to determine your worth, your value, because you're a machine. You were created to put in, like, output X amount of things for every amount of whatever, right? So if you are a machine, productivity makes sense, right? It would be a highly important thing to measure because you are created to output. But a little note before we get started, you and I are not machines. We're human beings. So we have to talk about what happens when we praise productivity, when we constantly aim for productivity, and when we make productivity the goal or the measure or the sign of a good day or a day well spent. Because producing is not evidence of a day or life well lived or well spent. Knowing what productivity is and that our culture is obsessed with hacks and tips and tricks to teach you how to get more done, how to stretch your hour longer, and essentially doing like the Energizer Bunny, it's important to pause and call it what it is. I talk about call it what it is a lot. I use it particularly in reference to words that we've made acceptable instead of calling the word exactly what it is. And then you'd be like, oh, why do I keep using that word? And especially in connection to my life and to myself. Let's call productivity what it is. It's treating humans like machines and valuing humans based on their output, what they produce. And the unhealthy side of productivity is that it's turned many people, perhaps you listening right now, into a person who finds value in your title and what you do and what you produce. And you can never find contentment or satisfaction because there's always more you wish you could have done in a day. There's always more you wish you could have done in a situation. There's always more you wish you could do all the time. The unhealthy side effects are that you forget that you're a human being, valuable as is, in need of rest, not meant to work yourself to the bone, and who doesn't need to present a mile-long list, a CVS receipt long list, right? To show that you are worthy of existing. Like, look at my list of all the things I've done today, or accomplished in this week, or accomplished in this school year, accomplished in this work year, accomplished in this quarter. We lose sight of who we are inherently. And we even move into a competition of who's more tired, who's more exhausted, who has the longest list, who's done the most. And that, I'm like, what? What we talking about? It's a cycle that leads to overdoing and complaining about it, only to repeat the cycle day after day, week after week, month after month. At Best Today, we exist to help women just like you be your best one today at a time. So each week on the podcast, we are going to highlight your stories and your voices. So let's see what's in the inbox today. This week's message comes from Whitney, who says that she has been using the Best Today products for about 2 months. Y'all, this won't even sound real. I got my house spotless and organized in about a week, then was able to build keeping it nice into my new morning routine. I've lost 8 pounds from organizing my meals and working in morning yoga and afternoon mental release exercise for me and my kids. She says I stay at home with my kids. I've completely reorganized my business around my values and gotten invited on 4 podcasts just from talking about what I'm doing with greater clarity. Most importantly, I feel refreshed. I've started getting up 2 hours earlier and I have the energy and the joy built in to make getting less sleep feel better. The Best Today products have helped me change my life, solidify my values, and start realizing my highest potential within the comfort of who I am. I wish I could send this out to everyone in the world. Thank you so much, Whitney, for your kind words and review. You can read more reviews of the Best Today Guide like Whitney's at besttodayguide.com/review. We want you to see why women all across the globe are proclaiming that the Best Today Guide is unlike any planning product they've ever used before. Learn more and order your Best Today Guide by going to besttodayguide.com today. And I talk about this a lot in reference to planning. If you have the Best Today planning manual, you've read where I talk about productivity is it hinders purposeful planning, because I see people cramming their days with to-dos, all in the name of being productive. Companies will continue to add on more, pile on more, despite the fact that we have the capacity to be far more efficient with the use of technology than we did in the past. Yet, rather than using that to our benefits as humans, we're piling on more. We're using it as a thing to harm more humans with more and more work. And hey, not only when you're not at work, you're at work. Hey, I have a phone. You have a computer. You're always available. You're always on. And the frog has overboiled at this point. If you don't get that analogy, or that story, I'm going to talk to you about it in a second. But the frog is boiling and everyone is fine just living in the heat. Not me, but basically proverbial, like most people are fine living in the heat. And so there's this anecdote. I don't know who originated it, but basically the question is like, how do you boil a frog? You can't put him in boiling hot water, right? You have to put him in nice room temperature water or like pond temperature water. And then you slowly add up the temperature over time. And by the time it's boiling, he's gotten so used to the incremental add-ons, he doesn't notice he's sitting there boiling, right? That's what has happened in our culture, and it's continuing to happen in present day. We've accepted this model of 9 to 5, which, let's all be honest, anyone who's worked a quote unquote 9 to 5 knows it's not just 9 to 5. But this culture of I am who I am because of what I do, my title, hey, I am, insert my title, and I have done this. And we wonder why we're mentally unhealthy, physically exhausted, discontented, tired, and so much more as a culture. These are the unhealthy side effects of productivity. And my point in sharing this with you in this podcast episode is because I want you to be aware of what it is, if this is what you're aiming for. Like, what is the role of productivity in your life? Is it really that you want to be productive, or is it that you want to live a life where you are clear on who you are, clear on what you want, and you want to spend your time working toward that and that alone. A life of consistency, of consistently doing what is important and willingly letting go of everything else. A life where you find value in rest, and not because you earned it, but by working overtime for the last 3 months. Ooh, I finally earned a vacation. Yoo-hoo. Like, I don't want you to define who you are by what you've produced. First off, chances are you've been able to do the things you've done because of the amazing person that you are. So it always goes back to the being before the doing. I don't want you to base your emotions in doing. I'm happy when I do a lot and frustrated when I didn't get a lot done. I feel worthy when I've accomplished and produced a lot, and I feel unworthy of rest because I haven't hit some productivity quota. I think we have a vast enough vocabulary to call for something other than productivity. For me, my word of choice is intentionality. I want to live intentionally and do so consistently. I believe that will result in me doing certain things, producing certain things, but the producing isn't the focus. It's the byproduct. I'm going to say that again. The producing isn't the focus. The producing is the byproduct of being a well-rounded, healthy human who has dreams and goals that align with who I am and who I want to be. I'm going to say that one more time. Like, in my spirit, I just felt like someone needed to hear it 3 times. The producing isn't the focus, but it happens, right? It's the byproduct of being a well-rounded, healthy human who has dreams and goals that align with who I am and who I want to be and what I want. So my intention and my hope is to help you think differently about buzzwords that we adopt without even realizing that it begins to control our behavior, our actions, and how we think. Words like busy and perfectionism and procrastination and productivity. You see, I have nothing against work. I have nothing against creating, producing good things for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your business, for the world, for whomever it is you create and produce for. My problem lies in the harmful view and weight that we give to producing. Productivity has not been put in its proper place and it's being prioritized. Those are my problems with it. And sometimes the solution is to get rid of the thing, right? Just to get rid of the thing. And let me say why. Give you an example. So let's say you're not sure, you're having some kind of reaction and the doctor says, we're going to remove this from your diet. Not that in itself for somebody else, there's someone who can do that thing very in a healthy way that their body can take it. But we're going to remove it because we need to see what your body does when it's not there in its absence. We need to see maybe it's been doing harmful things in your body, and just removing it will at least give us the knowledge of that. That's where I'm saying we need to remove it, because a lot of people are abusing it and it's abusing them too. And so I honestly just want to choose words that say what I mean. So for me, I choose intentionality over productivity, because I know what your end goal might be is I want to do certain things. The certain things are going to come from my intentionality, and I'm going to focus on that rather than productivity. And so that's it. Those are my thoughts. It's a short episode, but those are my thoughts that I really want to put out there into the world. Those are my thoughts when it comes to really thinking about and warning you of and making you aware of these unhealthy side effects of productivity culture. I would love to hear your thoughts and response. So please leave me a message. Do it now before you forget. Go to besttodayguide.com/25. Press the button. Leaving a message is easier than listening to this podcast. I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? What are you feeling? Agree, disagree, and in between. These episodes are conversation starters. They're not the end all be all. They're not the full picture, because I am still developing and evolving. It's just where I am today on this topic. So if you want to learn how to plan in a way that does not lead you down the productivity rabbit hole, I want you to join me on September 16th for my planning workshop, which has 2 times available, 1 p.m. and 8 p.m. Eastern. You can learn more and get your ticket at teachmehowtoplan.com. And I hope to see you there so we can talk about your life and the plans that you want to make. Thank you for being present with me for this week's episode of the Best Today podcast. Until next time, remember that you are capable, you are worthy of being your best one today at a time, and you already have everything you need to have everything you want. So go on and shout it out as you live it out. This is what my best today looks like. I'll talk to you again in the next episode. If you enjoyed this week's episode of the Best Today podcast, you are going to love the Best Today Guide. Our Better Than a Planner guide teaches you how to get clear on what you want, identify your self-destructive habits and behaviors, and intentionally create space to prioritize yourself every single day. Don't go the journey to being your best one today at a time without the Best Today Guide. See inside its pages and order yours today at besttodayguide.com. Even better, when you order the Best Today Guide, we gift you with your first month free inside of the Best Today membership. So what are you waiting for? We're giving you everything you need to trade busy for intention. Go to besttodayguide.com and order yours today and join thousands of women across the globe proclaiming each day, this is what my best today looks like.